Hey y'all, Ned over My Philippine Dreams, N to the E to the D over at MPD, coming at you from the city of gentle people, Dumaguete, Negros Oriental, the Philippines. I just wanted to take a short bit to share something with you. It was a correspondence, a digital correspondence I had with a relative stranger, and we had a little back and forth last night and this morning. And it's funny because of it's how things can be interpreted and the perspective that one takes when they're seeing things that are presented on YouTube. But let's just get right into it. So basically the first message was, are you the guy that is in and posted this video on YouTube? I didn't know what video he was talking about, so I just kind of ignored the message. And a short while later he added to that. If you are, just know that your video is very offensive. I lived in the Philippines for 10 years, and the woman that I befriended, he's actually married to a Filipina, never ever asked me for money for themselves or family. Then again, I associated with people that are self-sufficient and or educated. You talk as if the Filipinos you associate with are your property. That's all you white people know how to do, is exploit people for your own personal gain. I was still a little confused as to what he was talking about, so I sent him back a message. Dude, what are you talking about? Michelle is very self-sufficient and not my property. And he responded, we'll call him Tim. Tim responded, Tim is a Native American living in the United States, married to a Filipina. It looks like he was in the merchant ranks. I checked out his Facebook. So Tim says, before you make another stupid-ass ignorant video, I would suggest that you immerse yourself more in the culture. My wife just watched a video and she, as a Filipina, is disgusted with the way Filipinos are represented. She says it makes us look bad. I have to explain to her that being Native American, my people were not portrayed in the best light either. All I'm saying is try to do a better job. As a white American or European, some lower class groups will see you coming a mile away. It's like having a neon dollar sign on your head. I'm lucky I can blend in anywhere pretty much. And he does. He kind of looks Filipino. He's got the Native American thing going pretty strong. And I started to get some inkling of what he was talking about, so I responded, is she talking about the allowance video? I suggest you watch it yourself. And he responded a short while later, I did. It's okay, dude. You're not the only one that does this. Maybe I just got lucky. I met my wife on a jeepney. At first she didn't want anything to do with me because I'm an American, and she didn't want to be portrayed like the way you talk about Filipinos in your video. Come to find out, her family is like the Hatfield and McCoys. On her father's side of the family, her second cousin is a prominent political figure, and on her mother's side, her great aunt is another extremely prominent figure. And he's actually got the pictures with that prominent female politician to prove it. So I responded, this was late at night, so I'm starting like half asleep. I don't give an allowance. I am sort of anti-allowance. Michelle has a job and makes good money. Did you even watch the video? And Tim responded, yes, I did. I'm man enough to admit that before completing it, I started to get heated. I did finish it. I can understand to a point what you're trying to put out there. It's just the way you present it. So I do apologize for shooting first and ask questions later. However, there is something in your message that still has my wife really pissed off. Tim goes on to say, my advice to you while living there is not to get involved or even voice your opinion on any type of politics across the board. Do not interfere or hinder with the way they make money, and honestly, I can't tell you what to do because everyone thinks they're an expert in giving crash courses in the Philippines. But you really need to live there much longer than you have been there to get a true in-depth view of the culture and the people before you begin reporting on it. So he's talking about the allowance video. And if you start watching the allowance video, yeah, it starts off like it's kind of creepy. Because basically I'm talking about there are some guys that give their girlfriends, significant others, allowances for being with them. And then we get into the reasons for that and some of the ways that it can be perceived by other people. Again, I'm anti-allowance. I would much prefer to have and be in a relationship with somebody who is independent, has a job, and is not depending on me for economic gain. Because I don't want someone just being with me for the money. I would much rather than be with me for my good looks, wit, and charm. So this is what he's talking about. I guess that his wife, what she heard was that I was saying that foreigners can pay Filipinas allowances and they can just keep them as property, as chattel. And that's not what I was saying at all. What I was addressing, and it's important to address stuff like this, is something that does occur here. It's something that does go on here. and you can't have the elephant in the room and not discuss it, so it's something that I felt should be discussed. So I replied to him, I am just giving my perspective. I don't claim to be an expert. And how long you live here has nothing to do with being an expert on anything. Because like I've said before, it doesn't take an expert to live in the Philippines. You're basically exploiting the economic system that's in place, that's geared towards a population that doesn't have nearly the amount of cash reserves that most Westerners do. Some guys have been here, and this is what I'm saying to him, some guys have been here 10 years and don't leave the house or even know the language. And it sounds like your wife is having Philippine onion skin sensitivity and feels as if I violated her cultural amor proprio. Not an unusual condition for denizens of the archipelago, past or present. So I got a little snooty there. So he replied, actually you did. As a foreigner, you need to be aware of Filipino culture and have to conduct yourself in such a way that you don't injure the Filipino sense of amor proprio, or life there can become very difficult. However, you are an American of the majority where the sense of entitlement and superiority is just a cultural standard in our country. The modern-day slave master mentality. Whether you realize it or not, even in the most subtle ways, you are exploiting your partner. You're not the only one that does this. The way she hangs onto your arm and looks at you for approval. Just remember and take heed. Even the most loyal Askal can turn on you, and Askal's the wild dogs, can turn on you and bite you in the ass. As for this denizen, I truly hope you don't become pineapple fertilizer before your next trip home. I replied, so what exactly did I say that got her so upset? And he said, no worries, just keep on living your Philippine dream. I like that, that was cool. Stay safe. The area where you are is not the safest place for foreigners. Actually, Negros Oriental is pretty safe. Dumaguete. A lot of foreigners here, not too many kidnappings. So, we had a disconnect. He saw something or he heard something and he came at me straight with, guns blazing. But the point is he had a lot of valid arguments, and a lot of the things that he said cogently and rationally, and he, other than being upset, he was pretty objective about this. We have to understand the culture. We have to know about amor proprio, which is the love of self, the ego. We have to know about hiya, which is the shame, and you want, if your amor proprio gets violated, you feel shame, and then you lash out, or you sulk, you go tampo. And we also have to know about things like utang na loob, which is the debt of obligation, because utang na loob is also part of the reason why these Filipinos and Filipinas will get with foreigners, because they're allowed to take care of their family with that allowance and to provide and take care of some of that utang na loob that they feel they have the obligation to their family to help support them. So he's talking about a lot of really important things, and even though he kind of came at me in a strange direction, my favorite was that I'm very offensive and I make stupid ass ignorant videos. Alright, there's also some truth in that. So again, one of the great things about having a website is being able to communicate with people, to share those worldviews, and also what I said about being an expert, and what he's saying about being an expert. It's not even really being an expert, it's just getting some knowledge. It's just not living in ignorance. And when we understand the cultural psychology and all the things that go on, like for example with Madonna recently, she got all kinds of heat from the president and everybody else because she was doing a performance in the Philippines and she put the Philippine flag around her shoulders like she does in every country that she's doing performances in. But they saw this as disrespect, they saw this as a violation of the cultural amor proprio. They felt shame, and so they lashed out, they attacked her, and there was talk of blacklisting her. I don't know if they blacklisted her or not, but they've blacklisted a lot of entertainers. The Beatles were like the first. The Beatles got quite into it. Justin Bieber got blacklisted at one point. All kinds of performers and actors have been. Claire Danes have been blacklisted by the government. So again, understanding these things, like he's talking about, the amor proprio, the hiya, the utang na loob, understanding where you are, the amount of leverage that we have just based on the color of our skin, understanding colonial mentality, that which is something where Filipinos believe that things outside the country are better than things inside the country. And I'm not just talking about locally produced products. I'm talking about ideas and music and culture and understanding Baha'u'llah and just all these different concepts. And I'm going to be going over those at some point because, again, I'm trying to teach myself. I've only been here for a couple of years. I've dipped my toe in the water. I'm starting to learn. And again, like I mentioned before, learning a language is really important. You got to know that. If you're planning on staying here a long time, you really have to have some proficiency in the language, at least to understand what people are saying around you and to be able to respond and ask questions and all that stuff. So again, Tim, I apologize if my video came off the wrong way. Also, people got upset because they didn't watch the whole Idiot's Guide to the Philippines, where I was in the gym working out and then I got punked off by Big Mark and Jimmy at the end. So sometimes you got to look at the context, you got to look at the whole video, you got to see what people are saying. But I understand what you're saying, and I apologize if it came off the wrong way. That wasn't the intent. But I feel it's important and I feel it's imperative on this channel to talk about these subjects, because a lot of people that watch our channel have never been here and they don't know the ins and outs of how things go. So that's about it. Take care, y'all. Listen to it over my Philippine dreams, and we'll see you next time. Peace.